I'm here to talk about G.I. Joes today. Basically, one of my main concerns that I see in collecting these days is bootleg knockoffs, one-to-one bootleg knockoffs. Now, bootleg knockoffs doesn't mean customs, doesn't mean color variants because you don't have a piece that you can't complete your figure. I don't see any problem with that. My biggest issue right now is bootleg one-to-one knockoffs. That's an exact replica of the Hasbro originals. That to me taints the market. Case in point, I was duped twice in the last 6 months. One over some dusty bipods and one over, you guessed it, the heavy metal, the Mahler driver heavy metal microphone piece. Now I purchased that piece from an actual eBay company that sells originals. They sell high-end collectibles. I purchased it for quite a substantial amount of money in my opinion for just a small tiny piece of plastic. Yes, I got the figure, yes I got the gun, but yes I got a aftermarket bootleg knockoff microphone. That to me is going to be a big problem, especially with the advent of the 3D printer, and pretty much anybody can make anything they want to now. So in my opinion, say no to bootleg. Say no to repro. Just say no to repro. I've been collecting for, well, this time around, about 2 years. Now this is part of the collection that I've acquired in the last 2 years. I had a substantial collection. I had the entire 1982 straight arm run with the Missile Command headquarters, the whole deal from 1982 all the way up to about 1990, pretty much all the big wigs. All the big drivers, all the big weapons, all the high-end stuff, the double-handled bazooka, the whole deal. I had it all. 15 years ago, when these bootlegs weren't as intricate and as detailed as they are now. The biggest problem with bootlegs now is they're so easy to misrepresent over the internet that it's creating havoc in the industry. Some people are for them. They love it because now they can complete their figures to the ultimate without having to spend a bunch of money. But then there's people like me who are purists and understand that yes, they are plastic, yes, they are toys, yes, they're meant to be played with, yes, you know, they're for the kids. But being an adult, looking back at my childhood, I want the exact thing that I could get in 1982, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, and on to 94. That was the era that I collected G.I. Joes. With the internet, it's so much easier to acquire things. There's so many more people to get involved with. You don't have to travel all over the country. You can just, you know, hit somebody up and say, hey, you got this? Sure, I got one. How much you want? PayPal. Mail it. You get it. You're excited. I want them to be as they were, the history behind them, the amount of time that they've spent in that box. I just don't see opening them. Now some guys say, hey, I'm just going to open them because everything needs to be open. It should be open. There should be played with. They're meant to be played with. We'll agree to disagree. Over here to another lift ticket. He's loose. I don't mind loose figures as long as they're complete. I have a heartfelt desire to complete everything. If I have a vehicle, I want the vehicle. I want the box. I want the blueprints. I want the uncut file card. I want the perfect paint on the figure with all of his accessories, including the microphones, which seem to be ultra desirable because they always fall out. I want all the color variations if I can acquire them in a reasonable amount of time and a reasonable amount of money. You have Shipwreck here. I discovered in just purchasing figures that I've determined I believe him to have a variant in his Parrot, the color variant. This one's a little yellow, this one's a little more orange in color. I could be wrong, but I'm holding on to him because I believe it to be a color variant. I like uncut file cards. I like mint in sealed packages. I like the boxes. I love the box art. I mean, when you went to Kmart or Ames or Toys R Us and saw this sitting on a shelf for $100 back in 1985, that was a lot of money back then. Now, I couldn't tell you how much these things are going for as far as the box and the complete unit with all the little pieces, the engine covers, the mast cap, the, you know, everything. I've even got the fantail railing back here. You can't see it, but the fantail railing back here on the back side see it under here. But this guy right here will fetch 2 Benjamins right now for a white piece of plastic. That's where we're at in the collecting world. And as far as I'm concerned, things like this gun right here, when these come up at reproduction, it's going to hurt the community because these are rare pieces that you can't just go out and buy. So, as far as bootlegs go, there's very, very, very definitive bootlegs, and then there's some bootlegs that are so close that depending on the lighting, it's very hard to tell the difference, especially if you're purchasing stuff over the internet. So there's a few key features, a few key factors that you need to pay attention to when purchasing any type of high-end G.I. Joe or any toy line collectible over the internet. My suggestion is get references, ask questions, post on forums, post on pages, go on the pages, meet a bunch of guys, find out who's good and who knows their stuff, because it's kind of important, especially when you're spending hundreds of dollars on microscopic pieces of plastic. So let's go over here to the heavy metal microphone. I was duped on one, and recently in the last 6 months or so, and I have acquired a original, guaranteed original microphone for the 1985 heavy metal G.I. Joe figure. Now we're going to go and look at an original, which I have just acquired, and we're going to go look at a fake, which I acquired about 6 months ago from an actual reputable eBay seller. I won't get into details, but you know, it is what it is. I was duped. I'm hoping that some of this informs you to not get duped like I. Here we have an original heavy metal microphone from 1985, acquired by Stuart Winstead. I actually was on the G.I. Joe Trader PX page on Facebook, and he actually sold me this entire figure with weapon and original microphone out of his personal collection. He didn't want to, but you know, with my begging and pleading, he did sell it to me. So this is an actual original heavy metal microphone from 1985. Now we're going to take it out here carefully, because as everyone knows, this is the most expensive piece of G.I. Joe history, pretty much. See the edge, the tip of this microphone where it goes into the side of his helmet, into the earpiece? You can see it's got a nice, smooth transition into a ball tip, as I'd call it, end. You can see where it butts up against his helmet. It's got this nice, crisp edge to it. And then on the tip end, you can see there's no excess plastic, there's no anything funny hanging off of the end of it. It's pretty much a nice solid mold. Hasbro, when they made these things, they used actual molds, so they were able to be a little more precision than, I don't know, let's say bootleggers. But this is an actual original heavy metal Mahler microphone. As you can see, the brown matches the brown on his helmet, on his earpiece. It also matches his chest gun strap as well as his boots very, very closely. It's a pretty much identical match. That is the #1 way to tell it's an original. Others are obviously, if you get something in a sealed package, or somebody that's been collecting and knows his stuff and actually has evidence that he's matched it up to something out of a sealed package, which is what I've done. And that is an official 1985 heavy metal Mahler driver microphone piece. Now let's go over here to the known fake that I've compared indefinitely to the original. As you can see, doesn't look too much different. It's brown, but under microscope and under extreme lighting, you can also tell that it's a different color brown. these browns don't match. Also, the tip that goes into the head, into the side of the helmet earpiece, is a little bit smaller. It doesn't fit as tight as the known original. It's also a little square in shape, a little off-shaped, if you will. The base has a little piece of plastic hanging off here, kind of probably from, I don't know if it was a 3D printer or somebody's handmade mold that they've made these microphones, but this particular microphone is showing up a lot on eBay, and they're getting top dollar as it being original. It is not. As you can see, the tip's a little off. It's not as bubbly as this tip. The actual shape of the microphone is different. It's a little bit sharper on the turning radius around the front of the face. There's a little more excess plastic hanging off, and we'll also post this in close-up picture documentation so you can see, because obviously I'm moving around, but the biggest thing is where it goes into the helmet, smaller. It's just not the same microphone. If you had them in your hand and you can actually feel them and see them close up under lighting, under good lighting, you'll be able to tell that these microphones are very different. Over the internet, that's a completely different story. But as you can see, it just kind of flops around in the hole. It's not very tight. It's kind of hard to get it to sit in place. But if you put them closer to each other, you can kind of see the difference. But we'll post pictures of how different they are shortly. Alright, now on to the reason why I decided to double check the authenticity of my 1985 heavy metal Mahler microphone. These bipods were purchased on eBay at auction. There was 5 total for sale by the same seller. All 5 of them went for this small of a piece of plastic, and its rarity, went for a pretty substantial number. I mean, I'm not going to throw out numbers, but it was worth getting upset about. So these 2 bipods I purchased, won them on eBay at auction, as well as some other buyers who won theirs on eBay and still don't know they have fakes. I'm sure they don't know they have fakes. But I was excited. I got on the G.I. Joe Trader PX page on Facebook. I posted pictures of them. I was all excited because I was finally able to complete my 1985 Dusties. I have 2 of them virtually complete. The only thing I was missing was the bipod. So I won these, was excited, posted pictures of them, and immediately, as per Facebook, everybody questioned their authenticity. So of course, you know, I questioned the seller. He swore up and down that these were in fact originals. Unfortunately for him, the person that traded them to him in a trade told me that he knew they were fake, but you know, hearsay, neither here nor there. Thankfully, Dan Lombardo on the G.I. Joe Trader PX page sold me 2 original bipods. And I know they're original because he collects a lot of Dusties and he has them complete and has them in the package, which again, the only real validity to anything is if it's sealed contents, you know it's going to be real. Loose, it's really hard to determine unless you get them virtually under a microscope, which a lot of guys are doing now because of the extreme bootlegging out there. They're making them so close to the originals that unless you set them side by side, it's so hard to tell. This one here, you can see that the pegs that go into the front of the gun, these pegs are a little off. The actual, I don't know if they used a mold or a 3D printer, but you can see that the stems for the legs themselves aren't very true. These are nice and straight. These kind of have a wave to them, little plastic missing. But even, I mean, unless you set them side by side under extreme scrutiny, you're going to just stare at them and at a glance and think that they're original. As far as the legs go, they have little tabs that stick out, as you can see. There's so many of the same features, but then there's so many discrepancies, like just the overall construction. It's kind of a crude construction. If you have them side by side, it's the easiest way to tell. But I mean, even the little mold castings here are on this one. It's just, I mean, 3D printing is so detailed these days that it's so hard to get something, unless you've got a microscope, unless you're, you know, the bionic man and can see things through the internet. Just lighting alone would lead me to believe that these are original, which in fact they are not. As you can see, this one is nice and clean. This bipod here is nice and clean and straight. Fits into the gun well. These, it's just a little off. And, you know, again, questioning. Question everything. When you buy something on the internet, question everything. Because these guys are out to screw anyone they can to make a few dollars. They got my money, and hopefully they won't get yours. Hey YouTube, thanks for watching this video. We hope you liked what you saw here. If you like the content of this video, please hit that subscribe button down below. Also, make sure you check out The Ultimate Guide to G.I. Joe by Mark Bellamo. One of the best books with a lot of features that show all the figures, all of their vehicles, all of their weapons. A great addition to any G.I. Joe collection. One of the best. It's also got some pricing in there. That fluctuates. Don't pay too much attention to that, but it does help as far as the collecting world goes. I also like to thank Dan Lombardo for hooking me up with the original but dusty bipods. Also, Stuart Winstead for hooking me up with that heavy metal microphone, that figure. One of the pinnacles of my collection, bar none. The hardest piece to find in G.I. Joe history is that microphone. Thank you, Stuart, for hooking me up with that. I want to thank the G.I. Joe Trader PX page and the Era page on Facebook. Make sure you check those two pages out. A lot of fun content in there, a lot of back and forth with collectors and people selling and people just want to talk G.I. Joe. Make sure you check those pages out and Facebook in general. Just get out there, have some fun. This hobby is for fun. This place is for fun. Use it for fun. None of the one-to-one drama. Just say no to repro.